We got this 911 call at 5 a.m., and dispatch sent my partner and I to check it out. I know what you're thinking. Cops getting a call. Yawn and stretch, right? I explained to my rookie partner that the call seemed like basic stuff. Neighbor heard an argument accompanied by some yelling from the adjacent apartment, which led her to knock on her neighbor's door. Like I said, basic this side of Pennsylvania stuff. Until you hear the apartment number over the door her knuckles clanked against. Not to mention what she saw and heard after her knock. She reported that the only thing that answered her tapping on the wooden entrance was silent water flowing underneath it. Non-stop water. You see, the number over the second floor door was 44B. Name of occupant? Donnie Decker. My childhood friend. I started filling my partner in with the basics on the way to the apartment complex. It was the late 80s. We were teens. Donnie, me, and two friends. We were at my house, playing the Atari. The three of us wanted to get together with Donnie after he lost his grandfather, so we could show him some support. We got around to arguing over high scores and taking turns as boys do, until Donnie got shoved. We laughed at first. Donnie's back hit the wall with a thud. He fell to the ground and rolled around while he moaned. His eyes rolled back into his head, showing only snow-white orbs in his sockets. Our laughter quickly fell to concern. I rushed to steady Donnie. It was then that I felt the first drop hit my nose. Before any of us could fully grasp what was going on, we were soaked from head to toe in water. It was raining, I tell you. Raining inside the house. The Atari was shorted out. My dad was angrier than a bull looking at red. Donnie started acting weird after that. Aggressive, irritable, what you might call high-strung. We agreed to keep the incident quiet. When asked what happened, we said simply we pulled a prank on Donnie. The second incident occurred in the downtown shopping mall. Donnie was arguing with the store clerk about his change when once again, rain came pouring down indoors. The store clerk reported to the news that Donnie's eyes no longer had any defining color, and he was smiling at the cashier hideously. The news ignored the story. Most people chalked it up to faulty plumbing, while the shop owner's lawsuit against Donnie was laughed out of court. Eyebrows just weren't raised at Donnie until incident number 3. We were at the local diner. Nothing fancy, just a breakfast and burger place that had been there practically forever. Donnie and I both had a crush on our waitress, and I was shy. So was Donnie too, at least he used to be. Donnie reached right up to our waitress and pinched her while she walked by. "How about some pancakes, you sweet cup of maple syrup?" Donnie asked in the most obnoxious voice I'd ever heard. She slapped him hard. She walked away in disgust. Donnie looked at me and around at everyone else in that crowded place. He smirked. His irises were gone, and wind came howling. Storm clouds appeared, bursting with rain. Windows busted open. People who were walking in or out fell on the floor. The patrons were already screaming as lightning began to crack inside the diner. Donnie stood up, arms in the air, eyes blank, but his face held the biggest grin I'd ever seen on him. In the end, several people reported broken bones, electrical burns. Several were taken to the hospital. As for Donnie, well, his folks brought him over to some exorcist out of desperation. The exorcism seemed to work, but Donnie was never the happy-go-lucky guy I grew up with again. He made a point after that to stay to himself. After high school, he got himself a job and started living in 44B. And that is where he has been, alone, for years. Which is why I find it odd that the lady heard arguing. Donnie isn't married, doesn't even have a girlfriend unless he has gotten into the habit of picking up women in the oldest profession. My partner and I don't get there in record time, but we get there. We knock on the door first. "Donnie? Donnie?" I say. My partner yells, "Police! Open up!" The training kicks in. Pistols are pulled. As we kick the door down, I can feel a lump in my throat as my partner and I note that there is water everywhere. We walk cautiously into the apartment, check our surroundings. We make our way to the bedroom and we find the source of the water on Donnie's bed. She looks to be about 18, wearing way too much makeup, eyes glassy staring at the ceiling, her red lips parted as water comes pouring out of them. We couldn't find Donnie. To this day, no one can find the living storm.
And Donald Decker is free on bail. Officials say it's because he is not a flight risk. Now, as for the unsolved mystery involving Decker, Newswatch 16 tried to interview more witnesses, but they turned us down because they say what they saw is just too upsetting and just too creepy to talk about. Reagan Medji, Newswatch 16 live in the newsroom.